All right, I'm gonna do something that's really rare for me. I am putting a line in the sand. I've had enough, I've seen enough, and I think that someone needs to be outspoken about something really critical that's going on in the aviation industry right now. What I'm about to say will definitely offend some people, and it will make others cheer. So what I'm talking about here is instant aviation accident analysis, and in some cases even just general accident analysis channels and videos. There's a handful of YouTube creators that are creating videos that are extremely not helpful for a variety of reasons. I'm going to go through and talk about my reasons, which will be very quick here in a second, but this really needs to stop. We're not doing our community a justice, we're not doing other people a justice, and we're buying into this just feverish sensationalization of aviation and accidents and the 24-hour news cycle. And it's really, really, really bad for aviation. It's not good for anyone inside aviation because I don't think it's serving the purpose that we think it's serving, and it just needs to change in so many ways. So I don't want to make this rant very long, okay? But again, this is my line in the sand. I've had enough, and I think someone needs to speak out about it. So here's the reasoning behind this. I came up with 5 quick reasons. I want each one of these to be like a minute long, so I'm gonna really speed this along, okay? I've noticed recently, we had just last night a 787 crash in India. Of course, an accident recently that was very personal to me, and so I have some new perspective based just on that. Another one that is a little more personal, or at least close to home to me, that happened, and then, stuff that happened around the beginning of the year where we had that accident at DCA and so on, the one in Toronto. A handful of really good examples of things going very wrong. The first problem with accident analysis that's instant within a few hours is I've seen that the information is just really, really bad. I have this particular rule for anything in life when it comes to news. It's called the 24-hour rule. Whether I agree with it politically or not, or whether I morally agree with it or not, I don't have the full facts, and things need to come out. And when it comes to aviation accidents, we know that these accidents can take years and years to figure out what exactly happened. If we just use something as simple as a 24-hour rule, or even like a 2-week rule, I think would be a better time frame. I will wake up in the morning, I'll open YouTube, and I'll see that an accident happened last night, and there's already an aviation accident video out on it, and not just one, but we're talking about like a dozen from many different channels. So that really has to stop, this instant accident analysis. There's not enough information, and there's not one person, this is going out on a limb, there's not one person in aviation right now I truly trust when it comes to instant accident analysis. I'm not going to name names, but there's not one channel that can do a perfect job at this, okay? The information just isn't good enough to really have something to say about it, and it just doesn't help. Let the news speculate. Let the experts on the news speculate, but we in aviation are not doing a good job. Second, that is that this is exploiting people. This is exploiting the situation, it's exploiting the family, it's exploiting our community, it's exploiting our passion for views. This is one of the fastest ways to get views on YouTube right now, especially when it comes to an aviation content channel. And, I've been tempted at times to do something around this, but I instantly reel back because morally I'm obligated to not do it. There are too many people grieving in this situation. There's too much information that isn't known for us to truly come out and say something. So what ends up happening is we end up hurting our community instead. And I'm going to go through a variety of those reasons now, but this is just like any other news organization that is sensationalized and goes out there and uses the worst absolute news to share, to garner views and get that attention. And listen, I get it. It's human nature, but it's really, really exploiting people, and I just don't like it on so many levels. The third reason is it is actually bad for pilots. Now, I'm going to talk about in a second, like where we come from as pilots and why so many of us pilots watch this sort of content. I know you're probably one of them. So I'm going to talk about that in a second, but the inevitable goal of that is eventually to learn something and get something out of it. But we aren't getting something out of this anymore. The information is bad, it's sensationalized, and we are not coming from a place where we're truly wanting to learn. There's a defense mechanism, I don't exactly know the name of it. I was talking to a mentor about this, where we have to like mentally separate ourselves from that situation and say that we couldn't possibly be in that situation as pilots, and we would never do something that stupid or that idiotic or that crazy. We always try to separate ourselves from that. And I think it should be the complete reverse. Again, I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, talking about more of what we can do. So I just think as pilots, we are not being served by this sort of content. It's not working. It doesn't really help. We can get that same help by waiting for the good information later. I already alluded to this one, but number 4, that is the public. This is really bad for the public right now, okay? There are a lot of news organizations looking at aviation right now, especially because this is a public thing. For whatever reason, in this particular presidency, if you will, in this particular administration, in this time frame, the news is hyper active for anything that's bad. Everyone wants to point fingers at each other that, you know, the last administration did this or this administration did that. And it's just this fever pitch of, again, bad information and finger pointing that really doesn't resolve anything. And so the public is out there looking for answers when these aviation accidents happen. And it's not that there are more happening. There's actually data that suggests that it's on target or less than previous years. But there's this fever pitch of the national and international media right now that's latching onto these stories and making it really bad. So what we should be doing as an aviation community is giving the good facts. Hey, let's step back for a second and wait for the investigation to happen. Those sort of facts. That will calm the temperature and everything. So that is another problem with this. It is really bad for the public. Now again, this being the last one of the negative things I want to talk about is it's really bad for the family. It's bad for the friends. It's bad for those people that are grieving someone that they just lost. And I have, again, 2 very close recent incidents or actual accidents where this has happened, where in the first few hours, someone comes out with a video and they have information, they think they have information on what it could or couldn't have been. And these channels can't help themselves but speculate on who the person is, what they were doing, what the cause of the accident was. They know nothing about the situation, okay? I mean, it is egregiously disgusting how bad the information is. And then it's all disseminated. Now, the problem with that is, again, all this starts to be spread, okay? Then you have family or friends or whatever opening YouTube or the news, and they see all of this information about that family member, and they literally just found out a few hours ago about their family, about their very close person. They are crushed. This is the worst possible day of their lives, and here they are seeing that, oh, suddenly everyone knows about the situation and they think they know better, and the pilot did this and the pilot did that, and we have all these keyboard warriors out there thinking that they know exactly what happened. And, you know, not just keyboard warriors, but content creators that are guiding them down the wrong path. That's reason enough, okay? I think that all of those reasons, we as pilots, we as a pilot community need to turn down the temperature on these aviation accidents, and we need to do a lot better with the information that we share, because it should be in an educational matter rather than trying to sensationalize it, exploit it for views and clicks and attention. It's really gross. I'm tired of it, okay? It really needs to stop. That is going to call out people. It is going to make people upset. It is going to make people uncomfortable, okay? I get it. Those videos, you feel like you're getting some value out of them. I think there's a much better way to do it, and I'm about to share that with you. So again, please don't get mad at me, but whatever. I really don't care at this point, because we really, please just take this to heart, what I'm about to say, because I think you're going to see that, hey, it's human nature for me to want to watch these videos, and, you know, I'm guilty too. I've watched plenty of these videos. It's human nature to want to watch these videos, especially pilot nature to want to watch these videos, okay? Here's my deal. I always say this as an aviation educator, mentor, and a flight instructor, and that is, when I look at an accident, I look at it from the perspective that it could happen to me, all right? I start there with that very humble and introspective position. It is incredibly important to start there, because that is where the true learning happens. Once we do that, we can start to rewind the clock on that chain of events, that domino effect that happened in that accident, and see how we could have gotten ourselves there. That is what the true value of getting or learning from aviation accidents and incidents gives us as an individual pilot that fly people that just want to enjoy aviation, okay? No one ever gets into an airplane thinking that this is going to be their last day to fly. And again, a mentor of mine said that no one gets in there thinking that this is going to be their last flight. And it's great, be on my last flight. I'm going to die doing what I love doing. No one wants to do that, okay? That does not make any sense, and we need to be really careful with that mantra. But what we can do is we can start in that place of humility and realize we ourselves could get in that situation no matter what. So there's just way too much arm's length, wouldn't happen to me. That guy's an idiot. He did that. She did this. They didn't have enough training. They fell out of flight school, whatever. Like there's so many excuses and so much finger pointing. I've seen so much of it recently. It's really, really disgusting. You can tell I'm a little amped about this situation. So how do we do it? How do we move forward? I think we need to be a little more brave in how we stand up and call out some of these content creators for what they're putting out. Because there are times, if you just look at the words they say, listen to the words they say, look at what they do, that yes, some of them do share 90% facts, but then there's some sort of conclusion of what it could have been and what that pilot did. Within a few hours, we have no idea. Within a few weeks, within a few months, sometimes within a few years, we have no idea what happened. So we can't possibly jump to that conclusion. Okay, so here's how to go about it. So I'm going to go and I want to learn about an accident. I want to learn from something. First, we have to promote patience in the community. We have to promote patience in public. We have to be very clear that it takes time for a lot of these facts to come out. There are investigations. There are professionals that know how to look at this stuff. They are very careful about the information that they release, and they do a very thorough analysis of the pilots and training backgrounds and aircraft maintenance and mechanical things and weather and so many factors. And it's rarely just one thing. It's like a stack of things, called the Swiss cheese model that allows these accidents to happen. But we as a community can promote that patience in waiting for the correct information and to the best of our ability, not participate or at least not glorify these instant accident analysis channels and their content. That is really bold of me to say, okay? I'm sorry, but it's gotten really gross and something needs to be done about it. How about, this is my next point, how about we just take a second to grieve? Again, someone just had the worst day of their life. Someone just lost their life. Someone, even if they didn't lose their life, may have broken their back and now they, became paralyzed or something. Now they have this ailment, this medical condition that's going to haunt them for the rest of their life. Of course, not saying that people can't live with joy with those conditions, but it changes people. Just even if someone doesn't die, it changes people. Families, friends, community, so many people are affected by these accidents. And this is going to end up getting to a tipping point someday where so many of these accidents have come out and so many things have happened that one day it will affect you and you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. That you don't truly know until it's happened to you, it's close to you, and you realize everything I'm saying. The facts are bad, people jump to conclusions, they drag your friends, so on and so forth, and it's just really sad. We need to allow for that time for people to grieve. We as a community need to grieve a little bit ourselves. We lost someone in our flock. We lost someone that, let's just assume for a second, they loved aviation just as much as we did. And we know that it takes so much hard work to achieve anything in aviation, and now they're gone. Sometimes we lose people of notoriety that have done a lot of things in aviation, and other times, it's just Joe Blow down the street, don't really know who it is, and that's where it gets really easy to just brush it off as someone else and some other accident, and we just get a little too numb to the accidents. And these channels, these videos are making us too numb to the human loss, to the severity of these accidents, and what we can do as pilots to be better. I couldn't care less if you watch a video and make a comment and share this or share that, okay? What I really want to happen, and what I think everybody wants, okay? If you're an active pilot, if you're a safe pilot, what you really want, of course I'm stepping out on a limb here, but what you really want is to be a safer pilot. That's why you're watching these videos. That's why I watch those videos too sometimes, okay? You know, kind of polling and talking to several friends. We're all really turned off by it. We as professional pilots just see that it's gone way too far and it needs to change. We can just do so much better. So we just really need to improve as a community. I know this is throwing a lot out there. I encourage the comments, okay? Tell me what you think. Jump in the comments. Let me have it. Am I totally off base here? Or am I on to something? I stand by being on to something. You know, I have a channel with some notoriety here at the time of posting this, over 180,000 subscribers on YouTube. And, you know, this is a risk for me in stepping out there and being like, calling people out. But we really need to change something. And the sooner that we decide to do that, the sooner we decide we need to make a pivot, then the better off we'll be. It starts with each of us individually. You know, we need to decide that we're really going to be introspective about this, truly learn from accidents, and then separately decide not to join in on the sensationalism of it all, at least publicly. You know, sure, talk in your hangar with your friends, talk privately. That's a respectful way to do it. That's a mournful way to do it. But when we come out in public and everything's there to see, and we're just dragging our fellow pilots through the mud and letting the entire world see that, it really gives aviation a bad name, and I don't think anyone wants to do that. So I do want to mention that there are ways to protect yourself if you were to get in a bad situation. And one of the things that I use to do that is Pilot Protection Services from AOPA. This video is brought to you by them. And I had even something personally happen with me in the last few days where I need Pilot Protection Services for that. I can't divulge what that is, but I need some legal advice, legal help. And there are situations like accidents and having your name or your family's name or something, or some sort of legal action. There's a lot of weird stuff happening right now. It's a good time to protect yourself. So thanks to AOPA for supporting things like this. And, you know, along those lines, AOPA also has this separate division called the Air Safety Institute, and they do these really nice videos where several years after the fact, when the final NTSB report comes out, they do these very nice videos of accident analyses. And that is all fact-based, NTSB-backed, meaning it's derived from the NTSB reports, and they do a great job with those videos. So lots of reasons to be involved with them. So again, thank you for being here. Hit those comments. Let me know what you think. Give us a like if you like this video. Subscribe to stick around, because we're going to have more, especially other news coming up, how we're going to fly again, engine's still out. And let's just keep going, okay? Fly safe, fly legally, and until next time, throttle on.